Most people spend their entire lives worrying about things that will never happen. They wake up in fear, they go to bed in fear, and in between they run in circles, imagining every worst case scenario, every possible failure, every judgment, every rejection. And guess what? 99% of it is in their head. It's not reality. It's not truth. It's mental noise on full volume. And the cost of that constant worry, it's massive. It's your peace. It's your dreams. It's your power. Most people never win, not because they're not capable, but because they're too busy worrying to even start. Worry is a habit. It's not a character trait. It's not something you're born with. It's something you've practiced so much that it feels normal. It feels automatic, but just because it's automatic doesn't mean it's right. Worry makes you overthink. It makes you hesitate. It makes you shrink your life to fit inside the tiny, safe little space that fear built. And then you sit there, you scroll, you dream, you doubt, and all the while time is ticking. Let me be clear about something. Winners worry too. But here's the difference. They don't let it stop them. They use worry as a signal to act, not as an excuse to freeze. They feel it, they acknowledge it, and then they move anyway. They understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep going even when you feel afraid. You want to win, then you need to stop negotiating with your fear. You need to stop sitting around, hoping for confidence to show up before you do something. Confidence isn't the starting line, it's the reward you get after you do the thing you're scared of. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need every step mapped out. You need to start. You need to move. You need to do the one thing right now that you've been avoiding because your brain is convincing you that you're not ready, or that you'll fail, or that people will laugh. Most people live in that loop forever. They never break free, but you can. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the thought in your head that says, "What if I can't?" Here's a better question. What if you can? What if you stop worrying about what could go wrong and start getting excited about what could go right? What if you trust yourself enough to take the first step? What if you gave yourself permission to win, even if you're scared, even if it's messy, even if you're not sure how it ends? The people who win in life aren't special. They're not lucky. They're just the ones who stopped letting worry make their decisions for them. So right now, you've got two choices. You can stay in the cycle, overthinking, overanalyzing, overwhelmed, or you can interrupt the pattern and move. That's how it changes. That's how you start winning. Not next week, not next year, right now, because most worry. Few win, but those who win, they decided to stop worrying and start doing. You need to hear this loud and clear. Worry is not who you are. It's just something you've been practicing so often, for so long, that it feels like second nature. But it's not your personality, and it's definitely not your destiny. You weren't born worrying about whether you're good enough, smart enough, capable enough, or liked enough. Those are behaviors you've picked up over time, maybe from your environment, your upbringing, the setbacks you've faced, or just the chronic repetition of fear-based thinking. But here's the good news. Anything you practice, you can also unlearn. Yes, even worry. Most people don't even realize that worrying is a habit. They think it's a response, a natural consequence of stress or a big decision or something going wrong. But it's not. Worrying is something your brain does because you've trained it to. You've rehearsed it. And because our brains love familiarity, even if it's toxic, you keep going back to that same loop, and then it feels like you're stuck. But you're not stuck. You're just comfortable in something that's uncomfortable. Let me ask you something. What does worrying actually do for you? Does it solve the problem? Does it help you sleep better? Does it make the outcome better? No, worry robs you. It robs you of clarity, energy, confidence, peace. It gives you the illusion of control while stealing your joy in the present moment. That's a bad trade, and yet most of us keep making it every single day because we haven't challenged the default setting of our minds. Here's what I want you to do. Start interrupting the pattern. The moment you feel yourself spiraling, pause. Just say out loud, "I'm not doing this right now." Then take a deep breath, redirect your focus, even if it's something small, washing a dish, going for a quick walk, calling a friend. You've got to create a pattern break. You have to replace that worry loop with something that signals to your brain, this is not where we're going anymore. And if you're thinking, but Mel, I can't help it, yes, you can. You're not powerless. You're just on autopilot. What you need is awareness and a willingness to disrupt the cycle. You want to stop worrying. You've got to start moving. Start doing. Get out of your head and into your life. Because winners don't live in their minds, they live in their actions. You have one life, and every second you spend worrying is a second you could be using to build, to create, to connect, to breathe, to live. Stop letting your thoughts bully you. Stop letting worry define you. It's not your truth, it's just your habit. And habits can be broken, so the next time that familiar wave of what if creeps in, meet it with, even if I've got this. You're not here to be a prisoner of your mind. You're here to take control of it, and you can, starting now. Let's just get brutally honest right now. If you want to win in life, really win, not just survive or get by, but rise to the level of your true potential, you've got to stop letting your thoughts run the show. You cannot afford to live your life on autopilot. You cannot afford to be a passive observer of your own mind. Because, here's the truth, your mind is designed to protect you, not push you. It will default to comfort, to fear, to hesitation, to doubt. That's its job. Its job is survival, but your job is to take control. Your job is to override that system and build the life you're meant to live. Now, let me be real with you. Most people don't do this. Most people let every passing thought dictate their emotions, their actions, their entire mood for the day. One negative comment, boom, spiraling. One small failure, boom, quitting. One moment of doubt, they shut down. That's how most people operate, but you're not most people. You're reading this because deep down you know you were made for more. And the only way you're going to get there is if you take ownership of what's going on in that brain of yours. Because, let me tell you something, your thoughts are not facts. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. I'm not good enough, lie, I can't do this, lie, what if I fail, who cares? Every time you let a thought like that dictate your actions, you're handing your power away. You're letting a false story drive your life, and if you're doing that day in and day out, guess what? You're not going anywhere. You're just sitting in the same mental prison you built for yourself, but the few who win. They flip the script. They don't wait to feel motivated. They don't let fear get the last word. They feel the doubt, the fear, the discomfort, and they move anyway. They wake up and choose discipline. They interrupt the negative thought and replace it with action. They don't believe everything they think. They question it, they challenge it, and most importantly, they speak back. You've got to start doing that. You have to become the kind of person who talks back to your brain. When that old voice pops up, you're not ready, this isn't going to work, you respond with, watch me. When your mind starts showing you all the ways it could go wrong, you shift your focus to the ways it could go right. That's mental toughness. That's what separates the few who win from the many who don't. You don't get to choose every thought that enters your mind, but you do get to choose which ones you entertain, which ones you feed, which ones you give power to. And once you understand that, once you start filtering your thoughts instead of just absorbing them, you become unstoppable. You build momentum, you build clarity, you build the life you were meant to have, and that, right there, is the difference. That's what makes the few rise while the many stay stuck. Now, what are you thinking right now, and more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Waiting is a lie. Waiting is fear dressed up as logic, and the truth is, if you're sitting around waiting for the right time, you're going to be waiting your entire life. That perfect moment you keep fantasizing about, it doesn't exist. Nobody is coming to tap you on the shoulder and tell you, hey, now's the time, now you're ready, now it's safe to start. Because life doesn't work like that. Life rewards action, not intention. The people who win, the ones who rise, the ones you admire. They didn't wait. They started when it was messy, when it was scary, when they weren't ready. Do you know how powerful that is? Every single day, your brain is scanning for comfort. It wants ease, certainty, safety. So when you think about launching that business, writing that book, applying for that job, having that hard conversation, your brain hits the brakes. It says, not yet. Wait until you have more money, more time, more experience. But let me tell you something, that's a trap. And the longer you sit in it, the deeper it pulls you down. Winners don't have all the answers. Winners aren't always confident. But they do have one thing most people don't: the courage to begin. They understand that clarity doesn't come from overthinking. Clarity comes from action. You figure it out while you're doing it, not before. That's the secret. You take the first step, even if you don't know where the second one is going to lead. I get it. You want to feel prepared. You want to feel confident. You want everything lined up. But here's the catch. You get confident by doing. You get clarity by moving. You build momentum by taking imperfect action over and over again. Perfection is a myth, and chasing it is the fastest way to sabotage your potential. If you look at anyone who's done something meaningful, whether it's building a company, transforming their body, reinventing their career, it never started with the perfect plan. It started with a decision, a single, often shaky, decision to move forward anyway, and when they hit a wall, they didn't give up. They adapted, they learned, they failed, and then they stood back up. You've got to be willing to look foolish. You've got to be willing to start small. You've got to be willing to suck at something new. That's what builds resilience. That's how you grow. You don't become great by thinking about it. You become great by doing it again and again and again when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, when it's uncertain. Because here's the truth, the perfect moment isn't something you find, it's something you create. It's built through repetition. Through the small wins that stack up while everyone else is still waiting. And while they're preparing, you're progressing. While they're overthinking, you're outworking. That's what sets you apart. You've got everything you need inside of you, right now, to take the next step. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. You want to be unstoppable. Start showing up like you already are. Stop waiting, stop stalling. Create your moment, because no one else is going to do it for you. We are drowning in information. Everywhere you look, someone is giving you advice. There's a podcast playing in your ears, a YouTube video running in the background, a carousel post on Instagram telling you what your next 5 steps in life should be. And you keep scrolling, taking it all in, telling yourself you're learning, you're getting inspired, you're preparing, but let's get brutally honest here, you're not moving forward. You're hiding behind the illusion of productivity. You think consuming more will make you smarter, better, more prepared. It won't, because consuming is passive, it's easy, it doesn't demand anything from you. Creating, on the other hand, requires vulnerability. It requires energy. It means putting yourself out there with no guarantees, and that's why most people don't do it, because it's scary. Because it exposes you, but guess what? That's exactly where growth lies. When you spend all your time consuming, you are giving your power away. You are putting yourself in the role of the audience, not the main character. And let me tell you, your life will never change until you switch roles. You were not born to be a spectator in your own story. You were born to build, to contribute, to share your voice, your talents, your energy with the world. You want to know why you're stuck, why you're uninspired, unmotivated, constantly comparing yourself to people online. It's because you're watching everyone else live their life while yours is on pause. You're consuming their highlight reels while your own camera hasn't even started rolling. That's not living. That's avoidance, and you know it. There's nothing wrong with learning, of course not. But if you never apply what you're learning, if you never turn it into something real, something tangible, then you're just collecting information. And information without execution is just noise. You're not overwhelmed because there's too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you're not doing anything that actually moves the needle forward. You don't need another course. You don't need another motivational video. You need to sit down and create something. Write that blog post. Launch that channel, start the book, build the product, make the damn video, take the leap. You are more than ready. You just don't trust yourself yet, and the only way to build that trust is to start taking action. Every time you create, you build confidence. Every time you share your work, even if it flops, even if no one watches, you're building momentum. You're shaping your identity. You're proving to yourself that you are someone who shows up and does the work. And the more you create, the more your world shifts. You start seeing opportunity instead of obstacles. You stop waiting for permission. You become resourceful. You get sharper, quicker, braver. Do not let your potential die in your camera roll or your saved folder. Stop watching everyone else chase their dreams while yours sit untouched in the drafts. You want to be unstoppable. You've got to stop consuming like a fan and start creating like a leader, because when you do, you stop living in someone else's algorithm and start building a life that's truly your own. Let me say this as clearly as I can. You don't need permission, not from your parents, not from your friends. Not from your boss, not from society. You don't need a gold star, a certificate, or someone clapping for you before you decide to change your life. You are the one holding the pen. You are the one in charge, but you're still waiting, aren't you? Waiting for some magical sign, some moment where it feels right, when the truth is, that moment is never coming. The people who win, who grow, who build incredible lives, they stop waiting. They decide, you've got this inner calling, and I know you do. That quiet voice that says, I want more. But instead of listening to that voice, you talk yourself out of it. You think, who am I to do this? What will people think? What if I fail? Let me tell you something, that fear. That doubt, that's the sign you're about to do something worth doing. It's not a signal to stop, it's a signal to push. No one's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you're ready now. No one's going to clear the path, give you a guaranteed outcome, and say, here you go, start. That's not how this works. You start before you're ready. You move forward while you're still scared. You give yourself the damn permission. And I get it, you've been conditioned to ask for approval your entire life. Raise your hand, wait your turn. Be polite, don't rock the boat, but guess what? That's not how real change happens. That's not how you become unstoppable. You don't wait in line for your life to begin. You step up. You take action. You say, I don't care what they think. I care what I think. You want to start that business. Do it. You want to leave that job that's draining your soul. Do it. You want to write the book, launch the channel, move to that new city, finally bet on yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to begin. You just need your own. When you stop asking for permission, you take your power back. You stop living by someone else's expectations and you start living by your own standard. That's when life starts to shift. That's when confidence builds. Because confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from action. It comes from honoring what you want and having the courage to pursue it, even when no one claps, even when no one believes, even when it's messy and uncertain. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your dreams. You don't have to justify your desires. The fact that you want something more, that's reason enough. Your life is yours, your choices are yours, and you have every right to chase what sets your soul on fire. Stop outsourcing your worth. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to go for it. This is your permission slip. Write it yourself, sign it with action, and don't look back. The truth is, the moment you stop waiting for permission is the moment you finally start living. It's the moment everything changes because you realize that you've always had the power. You've always had the green light. Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to